All rise for the Honorable Judge Creon.
You may be seated. Plaintiff, please state your case.
I am pressing charges against Cool Hand Luke for the destruction of property and emotional suffering.
So you're asking for 5 barns full of yams to pay off property damage, and the defendant's youngest wife for emotional damage. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Do you have anything to say in your defense?
I plead the 8th Amendment. Cruel and unusual punishment is what led me to commit this crime. You should not punish me, but the people who did this to me.
That is not an excuse. You deliberately stole my car and crashed it in a ditch. You should be punished in a cruel and unusual way. If it wasn't for me, you could be anywhere in the USA by now. And if it weren't for those cowardly cops, you'd be dead. But not everyone could be a fearless warrior like me.
So far, it seems like Okonkwo has a good reason for chasing you down and trying to capture you, even if it caused your life in danger. From the information I have been given here today, I am to declare you guilty on all charges brought up today.
Wait! There's more to the story than what has been said here today.
What is it with this intrusion?
I have seen this.
Out with it, you fool! Tell us what you saw.
Your Honor, it was a little past sundown when I saw a man running towards my place, like his life depended on it. So I started watching him, but I lost sight of him because a dust storm went by and I couldn't see. But when the storm passed, I saw him drive by in a fancy little sports car that looked like it was way too expensive for someone like him to be driving. I began to follow in my truck, and I ran into the plaintiff on the side of the road, running after the car. I followed both until the man, Cool Hand Luke I assume, lost control of the car and crashed it in a ditch. While this was happening, I then saw the plaintiff waving some kind of weapon that I could not make out. But if I had to say what it was, I would say it was a machete.
Is this true, Okonkwo?
He is lying. All I want is to get my car back from that cowardly fool who thinks of himself as an innocent person.
Either way, the defendant is still guilty of stealing a car and crashing the car. Sentry, is there anything else?
Yes, Your Honor. The reason why Cool Hand Luke crashed the car was because Okonkwo jumped out in the middle of the road to stop him, and Cool Hand Luke swerved to keep from hitting, thus crashing the car.
Still, Luke stole a car, therefore he is guilty.
Because I had no other choice, Your Honor, but to leave that horrible prison camp. They beat me and forced me to do terrible jobs. One time they made me dig a ditch and refill it. This happened many times. Also, they put me into this thing called the box, where they did not give me food for days, while I roasted in the hot sun. I can't tell you how many times this happened. And all of that for removing a few heads from parking meters. Cruel and unusual punishment indeed.
I'm sorry to hear about this, but this doesn't prove you are innocent. You're still guilty of taking the car, thus the charges brought up today stand.
Dr. Martin Luther King once said, "We know through painful experience that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor, it must be demanded by the oppressed. Escaping prison and stealing the car was the only way for me to demand my freedom."
Based on the evidence, I must change my mind and declare the defendant, Cool Hand Luke, not guilty of any and all charges pressed here today.
Fine! If that's how it's gonna be, then have it that way!
What are you doing?
Stop! Freeze! Get on the ground!
Tell the court what you saw.
I couldn't even see it. Like, I didn't know where it was.
Tell the court what you saw.
Your Honor, It was a little past sundown when I saw a man running towards my place like his life depended on it. So I started watching him, but I lost sight of him because... That was so...
Okay, we're just gonna read.
Juanco.
You said, is this true? A con-
That was good.
I got his hand.
God damn.